Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. This is your host, Keely Austin. Today is Takeoff Tuesday. It is January 5th. Very, very glad to be here with you today. Our quote of the day is, approach every meeting with a purposeful, high energy, ready to make a contribution attitude, and watch how fast leadership's perception of you follows your behavior. I thought that was a perfect quote for Bill in particular because of his amazing high energy and just passion behind sharing this information. I've been fortunate enough to work with Bill in Scottsdale for the last couple of years and just, have been to a lot of trainings with him, a lot of property tours with him, and it's just so fun to watch him present. So I'm grateful that we get to spend Tuesdays with Bill as well. So a couple dates to take note of. We have our national conference coming up in March, just a couple of months away. That is going to be 3 days of online training with our CEO and leadership from across the nation, March 18th through the 20th. Get those days marked on your calendar, clear those out if you need to. We have our dates for leadership retreat as well. We're going to be going to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Very excited to see you all there. We're going to be there August 13th through the 17th of 2021. We have our Founders Live every Monday at 4 p.m. If you missed it yesterday, it's okay because you can catch the recording. Yesterday was really, really fun. If you were here this morning for the Money Matrix, Bob Snyder yesterday on the Founders Live went into what it took to make all of those videos and just the dedication that Woody had in making those videos, putting those together for Renatus. So that was really cool to hear the history behind the Money Matrix videos. So if you didn't catch yesterday's Founders Live, you can do so still. It's on the Facebook page. So every week we've got some daily and weekly support systems. So we've got our private capital masterclass that's every week on Thursday at 6 p.m. with Dane Clark. We also have our Dream Call, Daily Real Estate Action Mastermind. That is Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9:45. And we've got our fabulous Friday morning with Lily Portas from 8 to 9. And last but not least, our Zoom up call Monday through Friday at noon. It's just 15 to 20 minutes of a success story in Renatus. Those are all recorded and they are a really, really great exposure for your guests, especially because they're so short. And I believe there's about 50 of them now. So a lot of different variety of just different stories to share with your guests. OES.com talks about the optional event subscription, what the OES is and why you want to be a part of it. We've got our weekly events, our reoccurring events here. So Tuesdays, today, we've got our Profits Intro at 12:30, and today is actually the last one that we're going to be doing, at least for now. Bob Tierney does do a Profits Intro each and every week, so check the calendar under Bob Tierney, and if you are still looking to get people in front of the Profits Intro, you can do so with Bob Tierney. So just a heads up, everyone, today is the last day we are doing our Profits Intro for Elevate. And then on Wednesdays, we have our house tour every single week. We've got our house tour at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. That's a virtual house tour, great exposure for your guests. And we also have our AIT bonus track study group offered in Spanish. Every Thursday, we have all kinds of events to choose from, so much support provided for us, and I love it. So on Thursdays at 7, we have a house tour offered in Spanish for those who are mainly speaking Spanish and want to still take advantage of the house tour. I love that they offer it both in English and Spanish. So that's on Thursdays at 7. And we also have everything else here is in English. Our Pillars of Wealth intro presentation, our follow-up and funding webinar. We have our onboarding session, Essentials Mastermind, as well as multifamily, wholesaling, and short-term rental study groups. We record these morning calls. You can find them on both Facebook as well as on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is Elevate Renatus. You can find these calls there as well as the Zoom up calls that I just mentioned a moment ago. And then our Facebook page is Renatus Team Elevate. Definitely want to be a part of that page. A lot of important announcements there. Plus you get to network with other Renatus students and catch these recordings. Plus our Super Saturday recordings are on that page. So definitely want to be a part of that private Facebook page if you're not already. Today is Takeoff Tuesday. We get to learn from Bill Predebon. As I mentioned before, Bill has just an incredible energy and passion. And I really, really have been very fortunate to get to work with Bill and just get to know both Bill and Sherry and their pets over the last few years. Bill is just a wonderful, wonderful person to work with. And again, just so passionate about what he does. So we are super fortunate to get to learn from Bill every single Tuesday for an hour. Bill was a pro skier for, I want to say 10 years, correct me if I'm wrong. And that was in Vail, Colorado, when Bill realized, he was really unemployable and needed to find something else for work. He knew that buying into a franchise would be a profitable option and had an opportunity to do so. So he got into the franchise world and bought a couple of stores and ended up losing everything due to lack of knowledge. And then in 2007, he had heard about real estate investing and just dove in and didn't really know anything about real estate investing, but he knew that it could be very lucrative. And that was right before the crash. And in 2008, Bill ended up in over $400,000 of debt. So after that was when Bill found Renatus, and Bill in his first year in Renatus made 8 times more than he did the previous year, both working as a loan officer and as a realtor. And that just shows the power of the Renatus education and the marketing, because Bill was able to pull himself out of that deep hole. And now if we fast forward to today, Bill has completed well over 150 deals. We were saying 150 a year ago, so I'm really curious what that number is now. I'm wondering if Bill has ever tallied that up for us more recently, because I know it's well over 150 now. He has grossed multiple $1 million through his real estate deals, multiple 7 figures. And then he's also a marketing leader, as I mentioned. So he is on the PIT team in training to be on the PAC, the President's Advisory Council. So again, a lot of different reasons to listen to Bill today. Make sure you take notes, ask a lot of questions. I'm excited for what Bill has to share with us today. Good morning, Bill. How are you? Bill, are you there?
Yeah, it's just when I click this button, it has a delay, and then I click it again, and then it comes off video and on video, and then same with the mute. I don't know what it is. It's user error apparently.
Oh, no worries.
That was awesome, Keely. That was such a cool introduction.
Oh, thanks.
Hold on. I gotta...
Hi, Evie.
Yeah, there's Evie. Evie, can you hear who that is? That's Keely. You guys, my office is my closet, is my room. It's so funny. It's amazing going from 3,000 feet down to this house, but it's working. That Airbnb is so we just got another booking for like 21 days. It's $9,000. Yeah, it's really cool. We just did 21. I know it was 12,000 for 21 days. We just did 10,200 over Christmas and New Year's for 14 days. So at this pace, we could probably, by the full 12 months on that house, should gross about $150,000 for one property in 1 year, even with the summer months out here. And my mortgage on that house is around, what's 3 times 12? 36, around 40 grand for total expenses. Anyway, so for the time being, it's worth it to be in this smaller house, but it's an adjustment to say the least. Welcome, everybody.
I'm sorry, Bill. I'm sorry. Good morning, Bill.
Morning.
No, what was that? Is that your short-term rental, Bill? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's the third one. So you guys, I was thinking about this. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. So that property was a flip. You guys, when you girls and guys, depending on what you put your mind to and what you want to do, anything is possible. So I acquired that property. It wasn't easy, guys. None of this stuff, well, not none of it. Some of it's easy, but this wasn't easy. Like it was a property that I acquired through a flip in the area that we love. And So I bought that property with private money and hard money, and I put about 200 grand into the fix up. So it was a fully, I didn't scrape it, but it was a large 3,000 foot remodel. And at the end of the project, about 90% done, my wife was really interested in the house. She's like, well, why did we buy this one? And I said, well, a couple things. I said, number one is we've got about 80 grand in profit in it. Number two is you hated this house. And she's like, I know, but I like what you've done with it. And so I ended up looking into it, and I ended up buying out my partner. So we got a line of credit on our primary residence, which we were in the process of doing anyway. And we used that line of credit, part of it, 100 grand of it, to buy out my partner's principal. And then I had cash to pay him for his profit share. He was a smaller equity partner, so it wasn't a ton of money, but there was a good amount of profit. I think he made about an 18 or 19% return on $180,000 investment he had with me. And then I titled the company into my name so I could do a cash out refi, not a cash out. So I could do a rate and term refi. So I did a BRRRR method on my own primary residence, where I bought it, I rehabbed it, I did not rent it, but I moved into it. And because I had two different liens on the property, right, which are notes, that means it's just rate and term. I didn't have to cash out the property. And I was able to refinance out the hard money and the private money loan. And I had enough equity in the property to do it. I was at less than 80% of LTV because we had a significant equity in the property. And we own it. And then we lived in there for 3 years, and we decided this year that we want to be less tied down with a bigger house and see what we were going to do. We wanted more cash flow, and this is what I want to lead into for today. And so we put it on the market. And in the first 30 days, we generated, we've done 15,000 in 30 days. And now it's booking up through the rest of the next, obviously the busiest months of the year. I just did some adjustments to it. I've had to tweak it a little bit because it's a brand new listing, so it doesn't get as high views and it doesn't come up on page one. And you have to do a few things that are taught in the class. And then one of our students on the Renata Scottsdale team, I reached out to them for help. You guys, they're experts in Airbnb management, and they've done a couple tweaks for me, and also did a review. I did a couple extra review. There's a way to do an extra review, so we got a review from them. Just a few things that are part of the class and part of the community, and yeah. So our next.
Are you managing it, Bill? Are you managing it, or you do have somebody?
I kind of enjoy it. Airbnb is a pretty easy app to manage. If you don't have a property with a lot of problems, like physical, some rentals have a lot of problems. If you don't fix them, eventually they're going to break, and you're always going to have issues. But the Airbnbs are pretty simple to manage, especially if you've got a good crew to go in. This family just left on the 2nd. So on Sunday, Sherry and I went in, and they left us 2 bottles of champagne, a bunch of beer, a couple bottles of wine, a little toy, a little Christmas trinket, so, and we had set up some Christmas stuff, so we had to pick that out of there. And so we just enjoy going back to the houses after people leave. Sometimes.
How far are you from, how far are you now from that property?
We're less than a mile from that. We just moved right up.
Oh, okay. So you're really close. Okay.
Yeah. And then we have the one in California, and then we had the one. So the one in California, we have a really good cleaner, and he would go in and not only clean, but he'd take pictures of any damage, so I could report back and do a review and stuff like that. So we do manage that on our own. But we're considering, with my whole portfolio, we're considering definitely getting a lot more management in place. So yeah, good question. So that's how it's possible. It's so much I want to talk about you guys today. Just so awesome that you guys are here. And if there's any thoughts or questions, type in the chat, or bring your deals that you got going on right now with whatever clients and students you're working with that you have any thoughts on. In the meantime, I'll work a little train of thought for you guys.
All right. Thank you
And
so much, Bill, for sharing.
what's
Go ahead.
that?
Thank you so much for sharing your deal,
Yeah, no,
your
absolutely.
short-term rental, because I'm curious about this, this strategy, because I have one property that I'm, working on. Once it's available, more likely it's gonna be, April, around that I can convert it into like a short term. Well, actually it's more like 1 month because of the homeowners association kind of thing. So I have to rent it for like a month, at a time. So it's more of like a corporate rental as opposed to like a daily.
Yeah, yeah, you got to be aware of that for sure on your short-term rentals. It wasn't just turnkey. We had 2 offices in there, so we did upgrade the property. We bought a shuffleboard, we bought a karaoke machine, we bought some new furniture. Then we had to furnish this house, and we didn't want to just live in a crap hole, obviously. So the house there's not much to speak of, but so we had to get some nice furniture for here. So there's some expense that goes in. So your first year, there's additional expenses that'll go in. You've got to have the cash or the credit to do it. So you got to consider that going into these things. But I've been doing this a while, so I don't know that, if you'd asked me, 5, 6, 8 years ago, if I would have been doing Airbnbs, even if the market was strong, I would have really had to plan for it. I would have had to have a financial backer to do it. And we probably wouldn't have been willing to take the risk that we did to sign a year lease on this house and have that mortgage as well. So if it goes vacant, we've got to pay both. We're in the position that we could right now. But so here's the thought. This leads me into this: is that it is true that anything is possible. What you guys set your mind to when it comes to your own primary residence, your first rental property. I like the idea of turning your own primary residence into a rental and moving into another house. Now, again, that's going to depend on you and your family and your kids. For Sherry and I, it's easier. We're on the same page and we're moving in the same direction. We don't have children. So things are easier in that regard or less tied down, or less restricted on how we can do it. So you're going to have to make all those plans. But here's what we think. 2021 is among us, which is awesome, and it's not time to necessarily reflect. Of course, hopefully you've done that already. In my opinion, I was walking the dogs this morning, and as I look at this and I look back at my last year and I look forward to 2021 and what I want to do, I start to think about, like, I gotta gather my thoughts here. It's great to still be an ICM after much reluctance. Cool. So that's a good point, Frank, and we're going to get into that as well. The one word I wrote down today was commitment, and I think that we have to decide if what we want to do. All right. There's a lot of events, you guys. There is a lot of opportunity for us to spend a lot of time in a lot of meetings. And although that helps you build your belief, it's going to help you gain knowledge and experience. It's going to help you get stories and testimonies. It's going to help you in your confidence in speaking with people. There's nothing better for your business than taking action. There's nothing better for your business than experiencing it in the trenches and having people test you with their ability to tell you they want to do this and then don't do it, right? Their rejection to you is the greatest experience you're going to have. It's the greatest way to fail forward. It's also the sharpest and the most painful. You are constantly trying to move forward and they are constantly stabbing you all over your body with a sharp knife. And that is happening forever in this business that I know of. I don't know what it's like to be in the shoes of Nate Lambert, Scott Rowe, Nancy Rowe, the PAC members, some of the top incomers in the company, because I'm not them. But I know in my business, I looked back at some of the people that were on my list that should be already enrolled. And I looked at my number one prospect. I like sports, so my number one prospect on December 31st told me no, right? And he was I wouldn't say a shoe-in. I always had my doubts, but I thought for sure that I would close him. I thought just out of our relationship, he would have done it. And maybe that was maybe that was my downfall, because I didn't treat him like a normal client, where I was, pushing the buttons and asking for the sale and moving them through the system a little bit more precisely and things like that. Okay, so let's move. Right? I totally get it, Keels. So here's the thing. In 2021, we've got to decide what your time looks like. So I'm one of the worst time management people that I know. I struggle with it. I have to talk to my coach about it. I have to talk to my assistant about it. And I talk to my wife about it, and I still can't figure it out. And so it just is what it is till I figure it out, right? But I can tell you that the more we've got to look at our schedule. I work with my team on this and look at what events you want to attend and what events are going to be beneficial to you. But in between there, like I look at the numbers that I reach. I think I'm about 100 grand for the year in the marketing for 2020. I did not make PAC numbers, 150,000. I definitely exceeded my PIT numbers of 75,000, but I think I ended up somewhere between 90 and 100,000. I haven't done the calculation because with the transfer over to Helios, I have to go back and look at what happened prior to Helios. I can tell you I'm approaching $500,000 for since I started up again in 2016. So it's almost an average of 100,000 a year as a part-time business. So the reason I share these numbers with you is I don't feel at all that they're impressive. Number one, they're not there to brag. They're there because I'm telling you this because it's really possible. Now I'm disappointed in my numbers last year, and I can look back and I can honestly say that, and when I look forward to 2021, that I don't spend the time marketing like I should. Like I think that I do, and I want to do it, and I spend time committing to this, committing to the Thursday nights, committing to my team, committing to my own events, but those are not money-making activities. Those are support activities. Those are given activities that we have to do that you'll grow into as a leader, as well as in the beginning, you're going to be doing it just because you've got to plug into the community. But if you're full-time, I'm going to make sure. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. You're doing that privately, Frank. So just let me know if you want me to address that on this, or you and I can talk. So, if you have a family and you have extracurricular activities and you have a job or a business or whatever it is that you do that takes up a lot of your time, then attending every meeting is not productive. It is not going to get you the goals. So yes, tomorrow I want you to shout it out. I got tons of notes, and I love it. Just come on out.
Okay, so thanks, Bill. I'm having a challenge with my essentials holders. They keep trying to do, trying to do like multifamily deals with essentials. Like I have this one new essential holder. He texted me and he said he wants to do a multifamily deal. So I started asking him questions like, what's your exit strategy? Have you ever analyzed multifamily properties? What cap rates are you looking at? What areas? And he's giving me like, I don't know if I'm asking the wrong questions, but he said, good morning, Tamara. I'm only looking at properties in which accessible to me or nearby at this point, intentionally avoiding any long distance property management or purchase problems. did run the numbers conservatively, and cap rate is around 8% for the area. Considering the investment I'm looking for, cap rate is higher than average. And I also cash on cash return is greater than 10% after all the expenses, including taxes, insurance, PM, debt, cap and reserve. This is the third essentials student that I'm having trying to do deals. And I don't think I'm hedging these objections well, or I think, yeah. Or maybe I am, and they just need to learn the hard way. I don't know.
So I like this. This is common. I think this is common. Everybody can relate to this because even though they're already on her team and they're essentials holders, it could be for you guys talking about people that are not even part of Renatus, but they want to do a deal anyway. Okay, so you can kind of relate this to most people. So I think one of the things that we have to understand is our purpose and what our belief is that people need Renatus, and that the only way we know how to help them is through Renatus, and they have to have the education. And honestly, it's not true. Everybody needs Renatus, but people that have essentials or don't have essentials can do a deal. It's not that they can't do a deal. So in our questions, when we talk to people, so for example, I'll be specific on this essentials holder. I like the idea that you're asking them kind of pointed questions about, what's your exit strategy, what's your acquisition, right? So if we start to ask questions, if we have the knowledge ourselves, whether we've ever done a multifamily deal or fix and flip, but we know what's entailed because we've watched the class, right? Or we've at least attended the events and we know, so we're like, hey, how are you going to acquire it? Like, where's the money coming from, right? Or how are you going to carry it? Or how are you going to manage it? Or whatever the questions you're asking that take knowledge and skill set and someone else's experiences, right? And if they're able to answer them, right, then that's good. That means that they potentially could have the ability to buy a property. They're like, well, I've got 100 grand in my savings account, and I'm going to go in and offer XYZ. I've got a commercial broker that's looking for deals for me, and I'm checking out things on LoopNet, and I understand the NOI cap rate formula, and I understand how to increase NOI, and I understand how to decrease expenses, and I understand how to divide and conquer, and all of these different strategies in multifamily. Then so be it. Like, awesome. What do you need me for? What can I help you with, right? What I'm getting at is when we're talking to people, it is hard for us to put aside the fact that we want them to buy the. What's more important is that we help them wherever they're at. We meet them where they're at, and we help them see it themselves that they may be unable to either do it. They may also need more resources, or perhaps they're just not ready. Perhaps some education would help them in the future. Right. So I guess what I'm getting at is tomorrow is number one is you needn't concern if your concern is to upgrade them. All right, welcome to the AIT. Then we've got to ask the pointed questions that's going to get them there, right? But if that's our only concern, then that's what you're focused on, and you should just be focusing on newer students. Let them, remind them that they can plug into the mastermind. Say, hey, if you ever wanted to, you could dangle the carrot, right? If you ever wanted to, there's a multifamily, study group every week. There's, and your essentials. Why don't you plug into the Tuesday night, Gavin coaching call? Why don't you check out the dream call? Oh, you can't do the dream call, but you could do it if you got on the OES. So maybe if they started to be able to plug into a few things, even not the AIT study groups, maybe even the essential study groups, they might start to realize the power of the AIT, and some other people, third parties, may start to convince them to move up into the AIT. But in the meantime, your concern, in my opinion, should be to meet them where they're at, help them where they probably know they need to get the AIT. They already know the AIT exists. They know that that's the next level, but they've not wanted to spend the money. They'd rather spend their money if they have it on a deal. So if you can help them get a deal, so be it. Most likely, it's not going to come to fruition, and they're probably going to get frustrated, and they're probably going to want even more to be a part of the AIT, or they're just going to quit, right? Because they can't get it done. So they're going to spend their time for 6 months going down the tubes of trying to get a deal done, especially a multifamily. Imagine us with AIT and we try to come out of the gate and buy a multifamily, a big 10-plex or something, and spend $500,000 to $2 million on property. That is not an easy task. I don't know a lot of people, like, I don't know. I don't know many people that just, in a game of Monopoly, come out of the gate and buy 14 hotels. They don't. They don't even buy one. They have to go around the board a half a dozen or a dozen times and then finally own, 3 of the same properties and try to buy one from the other person and blah, 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 and pay a bunch of rent in the meantime and get their butts kicked and go to jail. And then finally, on their 10th round pass and go, they get $200 and they can cash in and buy a couple hotels. You know what I mean? Like it's a process. So they're going to experience this process and potentially get frustrated. And if you're there for them and you try to help them along the way, they may see more value in the AIT. Just an idea when it comes to these essentials holders that feel, or just people in general that feel they can get it done. There are people that I know, and I'm sure that there's people you've seen on Facebook that do real estate without Renatus. And they're flipping houses and they're buying multifamily units and they're figuring it out on their own. And some way along the way, they've paid some sort of price for that. And so that's what I think, Tamara, about that. And the more people that are focused on trying to get the AIT, that's where we should spend more of our focus. And if we don't have people wanting to get the AIT, then we need to go find, like Frank says, we need to go find more leads. Anybody got any thoughts, comments, or questions on that? All right. Sweet.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. I didn't think of it that way. I appreciate you pointing it out.
Yeah, no, you're my girl, and whatever you need, you guys, it's not because you didn't think of it. I've just been there. Like, it's the exact same thing I would do. It's like, hey, you got to get the AIT. You know what I mean? Like that's my natural instinct. A lot of times when I talk to people, like I'm working with this guy, Rod, who's 100% in, and he's got his angel investors, angel investors dragging his feet. So thanks, Lee. Thanks, Keely. And Frank, I'll get to that then. Shoot, what was I saying? Oh, like when I approach people I kind of explain, like, the only way that I know, and you guys can use this when you talk, right? I used to coach people when I took a hiatus from Renatus in 2011, right? And then I got to remember to watch into 2016. And I got back into Renatus in like March of 2016 as a marketer. But prior to that, I did some coaching because some people were asking me about the real estate I was doing. And I was like, yeah, I can coach. I charge $10,000 per person upfront cash. And I did it for 6 months. And I did it for that individual. I would take 6 coaching clients at a time. So I would get $60,000 roughly. And then, and I would guarantee that they would get their money back on a deal. And if they did the work and they showed up and they did what I said, and, they were working with me to get it done. And I saw that commitment, and we went 6 months without getting it done. I would extend 3 more months for free. I didn't have to extend to everybody. One girl made 80 grand on her first deal. One guy made 17,000 on his first deal and then bought his first commercial building. And he bought that building. This is 2015. He bought that building. And today that building's worth at least twice what he paid for it. And he did it on owner financing. We were able to do this thing, bought this building at $71 a square foot, like ridiculous. The stories just go on of the folks that I was coaching. And most of the time I knew it because I would get in the deal with them. They would either wholesale me the deal or partner with me the deal, or I would put their money to work or whatever. I knew those strategies. At the end of the day, what I'm getting at, it's a long damn story, is that I realized that I could only coach them a few things. I could teach private money and hard money. I could teach fix and flip and buy and hold, a little bit of property management, barely any commercial, barely any multifamily. Like, it was very restricted what I could do. And for 10,000 more, they could have owned Renatus for a lifetime. And that's when I was like, I am wasting people's money and my own time. Like I cannot compete with what we have to offer. And so when I meet people now, I let them know that, listen, Renatus is like the one thing that I know. Like I know that I can help you and I know that you can do real estate on your own. But what I understand is the people that I work with, like the people that are on my team over the last 5 years, all of those people that have had any success, and I mean any success to speak of, that have gone out and done some real estate, they have bought the AIT, they have worked and plugged in with my team, and they have partnered with people in the community. I said, that is what I see to be available. It's not unlikely that, it's not impossible that you can't do it another way. But the one way that I know how to help you is get you involved in this community at the AIT level. However, in the meantime, if you are opposed to that, we'll go down the road that you want to go down. It's your decision on where you want to go. Let me see how I can help you. But if you want to bring money to the table, if you want to bring me a deal, if you want to, wholesale me a deal, if you want to partner with me on a deal where you're just a passive investor and you either bring the money or bring the deal, then great. But there's no way I'm going to have you run my projects. There's no way I'm going to be like, oh yeah, let's partner 50-50 and I'm going to find the deal and teach you how to do it. It doesn't make sense for me, right? I can't even trust what you would know. I don't need, I'm not a charity case yet. So I don't need to do that. I need to make money and I need to be the most effective and efficient that I know how to do it. So, you know what I mean? So we can let them know what our intentions are, and then we can also try to go down their road until they make the decision. So Keo says you might ask teaser questions about buying strategies that are taught in the class. Yeah, exactly. Teaser questions are, there's no question. If anybody is having those thoughts, you definitely want to ask them, even your prospects, like, well, what is your plan? Like, where are you going to come up with 25% down? Where are you going to get your commercial loan? How are you going to qualify for the loan? Like all of these things. And if we don't know these things, then you can either ask somebody while you're learning to study the classes. So that's my thought. Great question. One of the things that Frank asked a question about ATM. I think ATM is, here's what I got to say about ATM. I've never taken it. These extra training courses. I think it's phenomenal. And I think that the majority, if not all, the top income earners in the company have taken ATM. So that goes a long way to say something. And I think that guys like Dane Clark and some of the other Utah stars, Wanda Castilla, they have taken it multiple times and it has paid off over and over and over again. Again, it's up to you. Frank, there is a cost, and the cost is not because Michael Huggins wants to make money. You guys, if you think that there's any cost associated with Renatus because people want to make money, you're mistaken. You don't understand the culture of Renatus and you don't understand the culture of Bob Snyder or the pack. I promise you that the OES, although there are times perhaps when people pocket some money on their OES fees and it goes into their income, they give back far more than they take in. And you ask Scott Rowe does not make a living on his OES, although they bring in a crap ton of money. He doesn't have an OES, he has event fees. Here's the thing. From Bob Snyder down, the reason that there's a fee to ATM is because we don't commit. We are lazy ass individuals who will take something for free and then we will fall out. We won't give it 100%. And we will fail to do what we need to do to be successful. So one of the things that motivates us is freaking pain. And pain is caused by financial stress. So when there's a fee involved, then we commit to it. And we give, that's why they used to do 500 and get 300 back if you graduated, right? There's a graduation, there's a finish line. There are reasons behind it. There are reasons there are sales funders. There are reasons that there are sales professionals in the world that motivate people through pain and pleasure, because human nature is trained, our brains are trained to protect us from all of this crap, from any type of pain and move us towards pleasure. They keep us from making mistakes. They keep us from doing the things that we want and the things that are riskier. So in order to get past that, we have to work on emotion, and emotion will sometimes overcome logic and we will act when we normally wouldn't have acted. So all of these things are on purpose. All right. So trust me when I say, and this is one of the things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Mark Kohler, Bob Snyder, the crash, and I want to talk about 2021. So, and you guys, these questions are awesome. This is awesome. It does go to fees to involve the class, but most importantly, you guys, these things are put in place. So I don't know, when you get on the pit, and I've known Bob a long time. I've done some real estate with Bob, and I don't know him nearly as much as a lot of the people in Utah and the pack, of course. But I have known him on some levels a little bit more than some people, and I've known him a while. But my understanding of Bob and where his vision is with the company is that I can't fathom the amount of personal income, personal cash that he's put into the business. I do believe that when Bob says that he wants the company to be $100 million company and $1 billion company, that he's not just being a salesman. He's not just hoping, he's planning. Bob is in his mid 50s. He's got a long ass way to go. And he's got his family involved as well. His wife is committed as much as this business as he is. He has a dream of helping people. And I think that he's financially in a position where he gives back more than we can imagine. He mentioned the other day that he's more than $4 million into Helios. So he's committed. You guys, that app, the expense of that app, you can't even imagine. The expense to run the app, just that feature alone that he put in yesterday, that he talked about on the founders webinar about us having a code that you can code people by sending them and getting them to download our app and then put their name in there. And then they click on, don't have a login. And then they use the code to log in. And now they can start watching the Money Matrix videos and all of these things. You guys, hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? The commitment of Bob Snyder and the vision of Bob Snyder is unbelievable. And that's one of the things that Jordan Belfort talks about when he talks about having not just a product, but the people have to get behind the vision of the company, right? The company is debt-free, you guys. Debt-free. It's very rare. No commercial loans, no business loans, no SBA loans, right? No leveraged, ran out of money, had to borrow money to leverage it so they could keep going, all those types of things, right? The company is being awarded in a state where there is a ton of multi-level marketing companies, and it is getting awarded for its education, right? It is getting awarded by the BBB. It is getting awarded by national money activities like Forbes, right? So there's a whole bunch of things behind it as well. So the commitment of Bob at the pit and pack level is pretty cool. What he envisions that we're not allowed to talk about, that he's going to talk about at nationals, that he's going to talk about at leadership retreats, that he rolls out like he did with the Profits course and things like that. The extent of the amount of time and money that goes into what he does to enhance your ability to market is unbelievable. So back to 2021 and our commitment, because there's a point where you should, I think, what I'm doing is looking at my schedule and looking at my commitment. Now, I have done a lot with Renatus, right? But when it comes to, there's a dozen folks in my pipeline right now, direct to me, that I'm working with that should bring me, a half a dozen, 5 solid new team members before nationals, right? I've put up there that I need to get at least 6 in order to be in competition for the in the next 2 months, in competition for the trip. I think that I'm within striking range, but I'm guessing. The good news is that the reason I say that is I had the majority of that $100,000 come after March 15th of last year. So, but I'm not in the top 5. I also don't know what people have done recently. So, my point to this is there's only 2 of those people this week alone that I've reached this week of, right, we're on the 5th of January. There's only 2 of them that I reached out to 1, 2, 3 that I've reached out of 12 in the first week of January already. Right? And it's not because I didn't have the time. It's because I didn't do it for whatever reason. I had every excuse in the book. I got busy on this, working on that. I'm doing paperwork. My desk is a mess. My numbers from Camel aren't done. I got a meeting here. I got a gym there. I got this, that, blah, blah, blah. It's the same old crap, you guys, that we do. We all do. I'm no different. You're no different. Vice versa. The only difference is that I committed in 2016 to get away from real estate. It's taken me 5 years to get to a point where I've done more buy and hold now, and I'm looking at less flips, right? Where I have to turn down opportunity to get into real estate deals and focus on the marketing. Now, I'm not suggesting you do that by any means, but I'm suggesting that you, if you are not getting the results that you want, okay, so here's where we're gonna go with this. Mark Kohler was on the webinar. Yeah, yesterday's webinar is pretty good, you guys. So if you get a chance to listen to it, every webinar is really good. And that's one of the things that I do recommend you put into your calendar. Pick, if this time works for you, I think all 5 of these calls are amazing. The dream call and even the Thursday night study groups, other than trying to get some nuggets out of there for marketing, I don't know the value there necessarily 100%. I think that value there is to have support to new people who truly feel like they need hand-holding support, which is all natural. And it's true. We offer some of the greatest before and after programs for new real estate investors possible, right? The majority of my team, after getting involved in all those study groups and stuff, they're off running. I've got 25, 30 people just doing real estate, not attending study groups anymore. Those study groups are not necessary. What's necessary is continued education, right? The coaching calls, the community, bantering back and forth with community members, doing deals together. But eventually we graduate from the dream call and the study groups. The study groups are there so you understand as a marketing tool what the purpose of them could be for your new people when they're just get starting and they don't know where to go and they don't know what classes to study and they're overwhelmed and they're afraid and they've just spent 20 grand and they got to make it up. That's where you come in to settle them down. You're a chill pill for them, and they can relax a little bit and you can plug them into this stuff. So Mark Kohler yesterday, yes, Andrew, you're exactly right. Mark Kohler yesterday says this. Mark works with thousands of business owners, right? And I say Mark, I mean Mark and Matt and his whole team. And there's guys and girls like us, small, rinky-dink business owners, and then there's like legit small business owners, like people that are doing, I don't know, I'm guessing they're doing tens of millions of dollars a year in business, in gross revenues. They have hundreds of employees, but they're still small businesses, right? And Mark is saying that these folks are doing what we're supposed to be doing, what we've got the opportunity to help people get to. We need to be sharing this information with people, right? It's the one true way that you want to thank Bob Snyder. Like we all get on the webinars and get on the thing, and we're Facebooking and we're commenting and we're, Bob Snyder's a genius. Bob Snyder, thank you, Bob Snyder. Thank you for this opportunity. We get up and we take our award, or we say our praise in front of the room and we're like, thank you, Bob Snyder. You want to thank Bob Snyder? Make some sales, bring more people into the community. All right. So one of the things that we're doing is we have the opportunity to do is Mark Kohler comes out and says this. His major clients, they're doing exactly what I've been preaching for a year. They are increasing cash flow. They are increasing leverage. They are liquidating assets, right? And they are preparing their credit. They're preparing their finances. They're preparing their partnerships with money, their money relationships for the crash. Now, here's the deal. Do I think we're going to have a recession, or does anybody? Probably not. Every government economist on the planet is probably doing everything they can to stop us from having another recession. Nobody wants this recession where the stock market loses 60% of its value, and so does the real estate market simultaneously. Nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants 100 million people in foreclosure again. However, cycles need to correct. There's only so long that you can put put in $2.3 trillion into the economy and print money and not pay for it. There's only so long that you can have 2.3 interest rates. Bob Snyder came out and remembered how he was paying 8%, and then it went up to 12%. And people like us, normal living houses people, would put 20% down and pay 18% interest on a primary residence. That was a fact in the 80s and early 90s. That's just what it was, right? So interest rates will go up. When interest rates go up, right, affordability goes down. When affordability goes down, housing prices have to come down. When we have been underbuilt for the last 8 years, underbuilt with construction, and new construction ramps up, you've got hundreds of builders building houses across the country. They're not concerned with their competitors. They're concerned with their bottom line and getting out the product they need to get out. They can't just do like a couple houses at a time. In order to keep costs down, they build multiple thousands. They can't buy property today and build it tomorrow. It takes months and years to get through red tape and get land development going. And so all of these things can't just stop on the dime when the market starts to shift. So when you also have people and COVID goes away and people start to, or decreases or whatever it does, and people start to move again, and they start to move their children from school to school, they start to move with jobs and things like that, then people start to sell their houses again. When people start to sell their houses again, we don't have more buyers, we just have more supply. When there's more supply and the demand's the same, then prices go down. All of these things are going to be a factor, and there's going to be opportunity for you to take advantage of this. If you can prepare yourself for whatever the turn is, a 20 or 30% decrease in price value of homes, and you still have the ability to buy houses on sale. Houses on sale are foreclosure, REO, subject to distressed sellers, direct to seller, auction, pre-foreclosure. These naturally have a regular as-is value just because of the market, but then they also have a tainted value. They have a decreased value because they are a distressed property. So there's an automatic discount on as-is property. So now on as-is price. So now you're going to have the ability to get a discounted property by market conditions and then have a discount on top of that. And then you have the ability to ride it out and wait for it to come back. Who would have ever thought that our prices now are much higher than they were in 2007, right? We all thought the world was doomed. We never, but you guys, the opportunity is insane where you're going to be. It's not just for you, but it's for other people. We should be trying to make an extra 10 or 20 or $30,000 over the next year that we can put into the bank account. So when the market does change, you can take advantage. You should be spending a little bit of money on fixing your credit. You should be spending a little bit of money on paying down your debt on your credit card so that you can, we've got to make changes, you guys. You got to look at 2021 and stop worrying about trying to do real estate in the biggest, craziest market on the planet and competing with everybody and start enrolling students. And what's going to happen is, I've said it before, is you might get lucky and one of your students might come into the fact and bring you a deal that is a home run in today's market that you can fix and flip in 30 days. Please excuse me, but don't, oh, okay. Don't share, okay, just checking. All right, I'll finish up with this. So back to the point is 2021, you guys, I'm taking a look at what my priority is, right? And I know that if I bring in an extra couple $100,000 in marketing, that most likely I'm going to get a few deals along the way, right? My deals aren't going away from my team or anything else that my agents are looking for anyway, right? So it's not like I have to spend any time looking for deals. And if you have agents in place, you study your education, right? You can have the same thing, but your focus is on making you a commodity, making you not a commodity, making you an asset where you fix you, right? By bringing it, there's nothing better than having disposable income at the end of the month and wondering what to do with it and where to put it. Pay down debt, right? Put it in reserves, lend it out to somebody, then go buy real estate, whatever the case is, or wait for the market to crash, right? And when you can start to, and I'm not suggesting you quit your job at all. Like there's nothing better. You know, when I got 9 o'clock, I gotta wrap up. When the crash was happening, and there was 100 million people in pre-foreclosure. I don't know how many people were filing bankruptcy, but it was near, I don't know, 80 million people, something like that. There was also 150 qualified million people that were buying houses, that had jobs, that were coming out of college, and they had good credit. And the banks were lending to them like no tomorrow. When you have a W-2 job and a good credit score, banks love you. And you have the ability, or if you have a 1099 job, right? If you have a 1099 of $100,000 a year for 2 years from Renatus, it's pretty solid. You don't have to do any real estate. It's when you have a real estate business and then you gotta reduce your AGI down to nothing, and it's harder to get it. I love my 1099 income that my wife gets and that I get, right, from Renatus, because it helps me to improve my borrowing power. All right. Awesome, you guys. That's about it. Everybody, you're welcome. Thank you for being here and listening to me. And man, just reset your 2021 and commit to talking to somebody every day about Renatus. And don't get hung, don't worry about the knife wounds, man. We all get them. And just keep pushing forward and recommit and reevaluate your day and see if you actually committed to Renatus, and go get rejected every freaking day. All right, powerful, awesome. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Sheena. I love you guys. Gilda, you're awesome. Thanks for always your insight and your questions. Tamara, you're awesome. Good question, good thought. I love bringing in the true reality of doing work. Dealing with that. I don't know what we got going on, but all right, guys. Keely, I'll turn it over to everybody. Get on the screen call and get back to work and look at your schedule. Bobby J, great to see you, my friend. Everybody, Keely, good to see you on here. Corey, love my team. Wanda, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow on Dane's call, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night or Thursday night. And all right, thanks, Keely. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Leslie. GS, awesome. All right, talk to everybody later.